Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, giving infinite praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahshua, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Giving double honor to our apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, shalom and salutation to you sincere Akims across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasama God from the DC camp, coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahshua, Ba'ashem HaKodash, to feed the elect. And this lesson today is an admonishment. It's an admonishment to the hopeful elect and the men fighting this good fight of faith, beginning with myself and to everybody that it applies. Basically, the title of this video is Kill the Boy and Let the Man Be Born. It's a quote out of course, I've been talking about this well-known series called Game of Thrones. And again, you know, you would say, oh, there you go again with Game of Thrones. First of all, like I stated in the last video, anybody that knows me, I'm very into medieval time, the age where men were kind of like manly, and then, you know, men had honor, values, you know, those type of things, man, because this laws in this society, we were never taught to be men. You know, we were taught to be boys and to remain boys. Thus, the state of our people, of our nation, the nation of Israel, beginning with, you know, with so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, being mama's boys, and, you know, always being under, you know, either a woman, your mom, your aunt, your grandma, that energy, that Seramesis and Tammuz, where, you know, you still remain a boy who never grows up. So those are many things and many spells that were cast upon us. And we were basically raised in this society with those spells on us. A lot of the decisions that we made those decisions with those spells on us, you know, going back to the curses. It's through the curses in Deuteronomy 28 that these spells were put on us to destroy us for breaking the law, statutes, commandments of our power, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua, not lacking faith. Okay? So, basically, when you go to Game of Thrones, which, although it's not, it's a fictional, it's based on a fictional book. You know, it's not actual real events. You know, like Vikings. The show Vikings was morally based. It was based a lot more in actual events and historical facts. But still, you can still get a lot out of these, because it's still these things are still based on honor and responsibility, manhood, something that we fighting back strongly to reclaim through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua. And in the Game of Thrones, which we are in a Game of Thrones like, you know, I would say existence, because when you read the book, you know, the Bible, and you read even all historical books, the history has always been about the rise and fall of of thrones, kingdoms. Right now, what are we fighting for? We fighting for the throne, right? We fighting, why? Because we're the rightful heirs to the throne, right? Beginning with, of course, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, the King of Kings, and then King David, then the 12, and so on and so forth. And then you have the nations around us that are also playing the same game, which is fighting for the throne, to be the ruler of the whole planet and the galaxies. So it's not far-fetched that something like this, you know, you can actually get a lot out of this. So basically, this is a scene where you have this individual, of course, my favorite character. I'm sure a lot of individuals who did watch the show, if you haven't watched it, it's 8 series. I believe it's 8 seasons long, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. That and Vikings and other shows. Now, you see him right here, Jon Snow. You should already know him, the King of the North. Now, there was a scene here where the character Jon Snow basically was given the authority. He was at the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch, he was at the wall. It's somewhere really deep in the north. It's super cold. And it's basically knights that have sworn to abstain from marriage, children, and all the lust of the world, to make sure they watch for adversaries or invasions or whatever at the watch, at the watchtower, which it's amazing because it's kind of like similar to the dedication that we have as prophets, at the watchtower. It's very similar because you got to dedicate, you got to sacrifice your own lust for a greater good. Okay. And in this scene, he becomes the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. But then there's a couple of knuckleheads in there. Some of them old dudes that are trying to, that basically not, he got selected, he got elected to be the Lord. But there was a group of guys that didn't like that. And basically, they were going to do everything to undermine his leadership. Okay, because they just didn't like him for whatever reason. They felt like he was one of the reasons they felt like he was too young. He was too soft. So he's having a dilemma because he understands he needs to make a decision. And that's basically what I'm going to go into through the Spirit about what we have to do as men of the Lord, hopeful elect, right? In Great Millstone and amongst all the sincere Akims, especially the ones of us that are right behind our apostles, that are in a leadership position. And this really goes for all the brothers, depending on, regardless of the level that you are. You have to kill the boy and become the man. So I'm going to play this right quick.
How are you feeling?
Oh, like a 100-year-old man slowly freezing to death.
I need your advice. There's something I want to do, something I have to do. But it'll divide the Night's Watch. Bitterly. Half the men will hate me the moment I give the order.
And right quick, what he mentioned is, and if you see that, I'm not going to play the scene, but basically he understood he was going to have to cut him off. And in this sense, he was going to have to, he was going to cut him off. And, eventually he ended up having to kill him.
Half the men hate you already, Lord Commander. Do it.
But you don't know what it is.
That doesn't matter. You do. You will find little joy in your command, but with luck, you will find the strength to do what needs to be done. Kill the boy, Jon Snow. Winter is almost upon us. Kill the boy, and let the man be born.
That's right. So basically, as you heard, he said, kill the man, kill the boy, and let the man be born. And that's exactly, one of the many reasons why we struggle in this truth, as we continue to find ourselves, and
whatever it was,
find our lot. I think it's still playing.
I dare say you'll see it again.
Let me cancel that. So like you. Anyways, well, there's like I was saying, it's a struggle that we go through. Finding ourselves in this truth. Prophesying, being dedicated to purpose, to the gospel. I spoke about honor, and which those are, and then I spoke about family, the reasons why we fight honor and family, and but and then it's through fighting for honor, which the honor part I explained it. That's the house of your father, which is Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua's namesake, and then family, which is the elect. Like the men, women, and children that are slated to be delivered. That's the reason why we fight. That's where we find ourselves as men. But see, the one thing that you have to do, you have to make a decision. And you have to make decisions. And those decisions ain't always going to be liked. You're not going to be embraced by everybody. It's not going to be nice. right? You're gonna make some enemies. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And that's something that you have to be able to accept, as long as you know it's for the greater cause, it's for righteousness' sake, it's for the betterment of the mission. You have to be able to make these decisions. Okay? So this is Isaiah 46:8. It says, remember this and show yourselves men. Bring it again to mind, O you transgressors. And that's something that's been lost, is manhood. And it's very important. It's the most important part that you got to have, you know, besides the spirit, you know, because, you know, I was talking about, well, you can know how to break down the words and everything. The Holy Spirit can make you, will make you understand, you know, prophecies and the breakdown of words. But to be actually able to accomplish your mission, it takes our mental fortitude. All right. Mental fortitude really comes down to decision making, and also dealing with the consequences, not fearing the consequences of what you believe through the spirit to be the decision that need to be made, regardless of how, you know, people might feel about it. Certain individuals might feel about it. You make that decision. A boy can't make that decision. That's the reason why women are still what? That's the reason why women in the order, women are above the children. Women are above the boys and the girls. But once you become a man, you're above every woman, because what the distinction is, the decision making. Okay. And this is why it's so important, and why I talk about this, and it's imperative for us to be in this mindset, because a lot of stuff that goes on, man. I mean, some of the issues that we deal with in this gospel, to be honest, some of the stuff that have to go to the eldership level and, you know, apostleship level, a lot of these things, man, don't really gotta get to them. You know, it's because individuals, and like I said, and again, I put myself in the same boat, because like I stated, through the spirit, I don't speak on things that I haven't experienced. The only time I speak on things I haven't experienced is when I'm going into prophecy about things that all of us haven't experienced. But I usually like to speak on things that I have experienced, because I can speak on it with in a manner that you can actually know that I'm not just saying stuff, you know. And once you get to a point where you understand that you have to make those uncomfortable decisions. Just like in the show, he told him, you're going to have to make the decision. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But you got to make these decisions. And being a man is very important. And the nations knew that. This is 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 9. This is the king of the Philistines. This is how the heathens think. Okay, now I know right now they've been softened up by Esau. But as we going into a society where Esau is falling, the manhood of the heathens are rising back up. Why do you think that all these nations are ready to take over? Moab has regained its manhood. Ishmael, you know, the Russians, they're Edomites too. But all these different nations are regaining their manhood. That's the reason why they're ready to fight against who's on the throne. So it's always been a Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? And we're the only nation now that we need to rise up to the same intensity. Although our fight and our battle is spiritual, but we still got to make the tough decisions. All these nations know the repercussions of coming against the king, coming against Edom, Esau. They know the repercussions, but you got to do what you got to do. And you come to a point where you make a decision and you deal with the consequences later. You know, and I'm going to explain and I'm going to expound on what I'm saying, because I'm not saying, well, you just got to be reckless with your decisions. I'm going to bring the balance in there. But one of the major reasons why you find yourself, even personally, a personal life, and this is something I can even tell in my own personal life, so-called personal life, besides just being in the truth and Yasha Allah, it's the inability, you know, constantly, you know, you thinking, you wavering, you make a decision, you're not sure you want go back on it and back and forth, which shows instability. You know what I'm saying? And that's a boyish mindset. That's why children don't lead. Boys don't lead, you know, because they're not ready. Once you call yourself becoming a man, it comes with decision making. And you have to be able to bear the burden of the decision making. That's what leadership is also about. Okay, and all of us men are leaders. Yes, we're followers of other men, but it takes to be a leader, you need to learn how to follow. You have to be a follower. Okay, so this is what a heathen said. 1 Samuel chapter 4, verse 9. Be strong and quiet yourselves like men, O ye Philistines, that ye be not servants unto the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Quiet yourselves like men and fight. And you know what I'm saying? And look, verse 10, and the Philistines fought and Israel was smitten. We got our shit pushed in. Excuse my language. It says, and we fled every man into his tent. We ran. It says, and there was what? Very great slaughter. For there fell of Israel 30,000 footmen. You know what I'm saying? So the heathens understand. They understand that. And they're not even, they're supposed to be our servants. We're the greatest people. But we understand that what we've gone through is greater than what they've ever gone through. You know what I'm saying? We understand that. Why? Because we are indeed the sons of the Most High. But if we Israelite men have endured the most, that should propel us to be greater men than the nations. So a lot of these things that we dealing with, we got to be able to just be stern on things and make decisions, you know, and not over worry about stuff like that's what we, you know, that's a feminine type mindset. You know what I'm saying? Which it shows us instability. You know, I look back at my own life and I look back at some of the mistakes that I made. And I was just like, if I had just made that decision and I stuck with it. Yeah, a few people, like example, quick example, my family members, so-called blood-related family members. Before coming into the truth, I knew these niggas was fucked up, man. I knew these niggas was grimy. They were low lives. You know, I was kind of swayed with the blood ain't thick in the water bullshit. But still, it came to a point where I could make the decision. You know, if I had made the decision way earlier, said, man, I'm not dealing with none of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all making my life a living hell, and it's already hard as hell being a so-called black man here, and I got to deal with this bullshit. You make that decision early, they're not going to be, but I was afraid of how they're going to take it. I was going to get talked about. So I dealt with the bullshit, and then later on, I ended up cutting them off anyways. When the spirit really grew on me, I understood everything. I cut them off. And guess what? They're still talking shit. And I'm like, damn, that extra time, if I had did it early, and that's what that dude told Jon Snow. They already hate you. You might as well pull the move right now. And that's what it means, man. You got to make decisions, man. You know what I'm saying? If you got to make decisions about things that need to be cut off, about people that need to be cut off, do it. And I'm going to explain the balance about it as far as like getting advice and anything like that. Because like I said, I'm not saying be reckless, but being wavering is not going to help you at all. All it's going to do is just going to create more problems, and more problems going to be bigger, and bigger. And that's just not good. That's just not good enough. Because hey, just like the old man said, winter is coming. You know, and I say winter, we're not just talking about the winter itself. We talking about what's coming down the pipe. Because with the news that are coming out right now, the elites are getting ready to make big moves. Because old boy Fauci just got put out there. He just got put out there. And like I said in the chat, I was talking to the brothers, ain't going to be no Nuremberg trial number 2. That's not going to happen. So they got to do some things. And when that happens, it's going to be a huge, massive awakening, chaos. And the remaining of the elect are going to seek leadership. And you can't be a wavering, bumbling, laws, not knowing what the hell's going on type person mentally. Now, the spirit is going to lead you, but the strong spirit of the Lord also requires a strong mind. Those two have to go hand in hand. All right. So now let's go to Acts chapter 2, verse 22. The men that we all follow, the men whose existence is everything to us, you know. Acts chapter 2, verse 22, it says, ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yahweh Shah of Nazareth, a man approved of the Most High among you by miracles and wonders and signs which the Most High did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. So that tells you right there. It said Yahushua was at first, he was a man. And he was a man. He was a man that was what? Approved of the Most High. So let's look up the word approved. When you look up the word approved, it says tried and tested, experienced, expert, reliable. These are things that you have to be as a man. You can't call yourself a man, Salakia. You cannot call yourself a man if you're not tried, which brothers have been tried. Yes, we still got more trials coming. You know what I'm saying? But we've been tried. And we get trials all the time. And we get tested all the time. You know? And we become experienced. It speaks about experience is spoken of in the book of Romans, the 5th chapter. You know? And then you're supposed to be reliable. Reliability comes to what? It comes to decision making. You know what I'm saying? Jake got to know that it can count on you to make that tough call. Jake got to know these things. First and foremost, you got to know this thing through the Spirit that you can make this call. And you dealing with the repercussions as long as you make the call in the right mindset, coming from the right place. But making a call that's going to please everybody, there's in no way, shape, or form is that leadership. In no way, shape, or form is that leadership. Making a call that's going to please everybody and wanting everybody to be cool and nice with you. That ain't it, man. That's a fairy tale in this. That's a fairy tale. You know, and it took me a while to understand that and to really accept. I'm not going to say I understand to accept that. But once you accept that, man, I'm telling you, man, things become a lot. It's still going to be hell. It's still going to be, you know, some effed up. But things, you become to just deal with things and not let things deal with you. All right. So to be approved, it says to demonstrate, prove. Approve, agree to, so to demonstrate, man, and that's what it is. Let me go to the next. It also being approved by the Most High comes with actual, like I said, tests and trials and experiences. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 6. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded, which you have to be sober-minded spiritually, mentally, and even physically to a certain extent, man. You can't be no leader. You just every day, all day, you getting drunk and you're drunk and all you do is getting drunk. Nah, man, you got to be sober-minded spiritually, meaning be aware of the prophecies, because you at the tower, you got to watch your prophet. That's what we do. That's our profession. You watch what's going on, right? You watch what's going on internationally, nationally, you know, locally to a certain extent, right? Locally, and then, you know, and then in your close surroundings. What's going on in Yasha Allah, you got to watch all these things. But also you got to watch yourself and how you operating, man. How you making your decisions with the things that you're doing. All right. It says, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works. And that's the thing. That's where you gain confidence. You gain true confidence, right? True confidence comes after what? When you establish a pattern of good works. Okay. A routine. Things you stacking up W's in the spirit, because you're going to stack more L's, so-called L's. Hey, shout out to Zaquan Yadi, Yatta Zach, or Texas, man. Not using the word L's, so-called L's. Level ups, you stack up these level ups. That's always going to be there. But stacking up W's or wins, man. Good deeds and back to back to back. That's how you build confidence, man. Right? And sometimes you're going to make decisions and they are going to work. They're going to be good decisions. And then you're going to reap the benefits of it through the Spirit. And sometimes you're going to make decisions that you may think in the moment are good decisions, but they can end up being bad decisions. But if you sincere in heart, you still going to reap the benefits through the Spirit of that so-called bad decision that you made. Because whatever comes down the pipe off of that is going to be a learning experience. It's going to be a level up. All right? It's going to be a level up. There's no way in the scripture where the Heavenly Father expected us to not fail at any point in time. And that's something that even I would get caught up. I used to get caught up on that. You know, thinking like you're some kind of quarterback who's going for a perfect 24 for 24. You know what I'm saying? You just went in the game and you had no incompletion, 24 for 24 with the perfect passer rating. That ain't it, man. That ain't what we a part of. This ain't it. Okay, this about you're gonna try certain things, it's gonna work out. You're gonna try certain things, it's not gonna work out. But at the end of the day, you know the Lord is with you. It's all gonna be beneficial because you learn from completion just like you learn from interceptions. You know what I'm saying? And that's the balance. But you still make that throw. You still make that decision. You don't tuck, you know what I'm saying, and just stay in there. You don't do that because it's just going to get worse. And I'm talking about from things to people. I'm talking about from people in the gospel, from people outside of the gospel, because that's how things just blow up and become worse, man. Let me see. Nah, I gotta go back because Titus chapter 2 verse 7, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing incorruptness, gravity, sincerity. Now let's look up the word gravity, and that's what a man does when boys don't understand gravity. What is gravity? Going back to the old Latin, you can see right there you have gravitas, but you know gravity, same thing. You can see right there weight, dignity, seriousness, solemnity of deportment or character. All right, it's weight and heaviness. Understand, I always say understand the magnitude of what you involve in. If this was for everybody, then decisions that you would make would please everybody. But Paul said in Galatians 4:16, because Paul understood. That's why Paul was so, because Paul was one of those men, because you have men that understand that early. There's only a few men there, but they understand it early that, hey, man, you whatever, man. I'm just, you know, what this gonna happen. I make this decision. Some people ain't gonna like it, whatever. But then you have, you know, cats like, hey, man, you don't really want no problem. You don't really want no issue, man. You just trying to be chill. But then you see this thing just keep blowing up, man. And then you really ultimately get to that stage. But you got to get to that stage. It's a very important part of this fight and this being men in this truth, being men before men of the Lord. We got to be men, right? And we can't be rattled and tossed to and fro, and you know, and the scripture's gonna speak about that. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 11, that's Paul speaking. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And I want to talk about the spiritual aspect of this. It's not necessarily the whole, stop playing video games. And because Jacob be like, oh, man, that's not what it's talking about, man. Like, it's talking about the seriousness within the seriousness, if I'm saying it right. Because I know what I'm saying, and I'm going to try to explain what I mean. It's not about, hey, man, you can't go and play video games. I mean, you know, you can't have some fun, maybe go to the movie, whatever that you do, you know, to kind of relax a little bit. It's not that. It's really focusing on the gospel within the gospel. Like, you know, I was talking to some of the Zaquan just about, in this society, they call it emotional intelligence. That's what they call it in the world. They call it emotional intelligence, meaning you understand, like, you know, you see emotions, but then you will have an intellect of emotion. So you're not swayed by words or by personal false feelings of so-called love that's just boggle your mind, so you don't know exactly what to do. Because you know what to do, but then emotions get involved, and all of a sudden you're in a space where you don't know what to do when it's clear what it is that you need to do. You know, that's what I mean. And I try to call it like a spiritual emotional intelligence, if that makes sense. If, you know, brothers understand what I'm trying to say, you know, so you see what it is that you need to do. It's clear to you, but then emotionally you get boggled up because you're not, you know, you don't fully understand, and you're not really prepared or willing to deal with what's going to come after you do that thing that you know that you need to do. That's the best I'm going to put it. All right. And that goes for all circumstances in life. And most importantly in this gospel, because this is the most important thing in the history of humankind, in the history of the nation of Israel. All right. So let me go to Job. Job chapter 6, verse 30. It says, is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? So, right. So if we know that we're righteous in faith and we doing the work, we showing a pattern of good works, going out in the highways and the edges, feeding the elect, making sure the brotherhood is okay to the best of our ability. Those are the requirements that gives you confidence that, hey, chances are the Most High is approving of what I'm of what I'm doing. That's why he's allowing me to do it, and I can see the fruits and the benefits. So therefore, the Most High puts in you that you trust in yourself as well to make a decision, knowing that whatever happens, he's got your back. As long as the heart is sincere, you're gonna be all right regardless of the outcome. You know what I'm saying? Those things have to happen. You know what I'm saying? If you're not like that, yet you got to get like that, because winter is coming. Oh, hell is getting ready to break loose. If you don't have it, pray that the Most High gives you that. Because without that, things are just more fucking difficult. Excuse my language. Decision making, a lack thereof, can make your life, go from as far as like catching hell, go from 0 to 100. All right. So, but like I said, I got to bring the balance as well, because again, I'm not advocating brothers being wild and making wild decisions. You know better than to do that. I'm not talking about that. All right. Because we're spiritual men. We're not like these Negroes, spakes and wetbacks out here, these 2/3 that go 0 to 100 and don't even think, because scripture tells you not to be rash in your actions and even in your words. So this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter, make sure I get that right. I don't want to get that wrong. All right, Sirach chapter 32, verse 19. It states, do nothing without advice. It says, do nothing without advice. And when thou hast once done, repent not. So once you get your advice, you look, you call, man, hey, what you think with the woo, bam, bam. Then you make a decision. That's the part of manhood. That's the another part of manhood that's just lost. You make a decision. And it says, repent not, because the Lord, that shows that you trust that the Lord is going to be with you regardless of the outcome. And this is something that you make in your personal life. This decision that you make in the gospel, in the ministry, these are very important things. If not, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos in your personal life. It's going to be chaos amongst the brotherhood. And it's just going to be more problems and bigger problems. And more people going to be involved. And it's just, man, it don't need, sometimes it's just going to be what it is. But being manly about things reduces a lot of that bullshit. All right. This is James chapter 1 and 8. And when you're not able to make decisions, that you toss to and fro, and you don't know what the hell, you know what to do. You talk about what to do, but when situations come around, you don't do it. You get all boggled up in your emotions. You get caught up. You just, because you really just, which is okay. We don't want to do wrong. I don't advertise. I'm not saying that. But the fear of failure, you can't win when you have a fear of failure. You know what I'm saying? You can't, man. All right. This is James chapter 1, verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So you notice that. That's why, again, going back to the women, because women, he's getting back on the women again. Well, women have to understand, like, we are a comparison of each other. So a lot of times when I get into the woman, it's not necessarily, because I love